we're back on this job now, and there is a blade in here which I'll show you in a minute.
Gavin to just give us our approval for how we're going to do it.
So we've had quite a lot of people apply to the point where I've paused the applications on Indeed.
Adam's asked for a summary for these, so Adam's getting a summary. It's been painted and then it's now been assembled.
And that's the courtesy car until they can fix this. So let's see if they can do it a bit quicker than the end of April.
And this is part of what Jamie flagged up.
Today we're going to start printing a 3D mini screen, so it will technically be a mini screen.
If none of these 5 are the right people, we won't take them.
Welcome to episode 43. Gav's not here, so I'm in charge this week.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. So the Eco's hog is in the yard. The lads are going to be working on that this week. We've got the job come through for all of the refurbishment work that we're going to be doing on that. Site banks, we're progressing more on them, so we're getting the rest of them in the workshop, getting them fabricated up to as far as we can. Got more material coming in this week to carry them on. We've got Connor welding on the Manchester project. What else is there? I think that's about it, to be honest. So hopefully we'll see some of that this week. Stay tuned. Site banks, second one is done. So, fabrication wise at least. So we have got Steve, he's fabricated the door for the third one. So all the frames have been done for all 5, but we're getting the rest of the panels on for the third one. So this is all done now. He's now working on the feet plate for all 5, just trying to get as much as we can, because when we do things in batches, it just makes everything a lot faster. So instead of having to work it out on one and then next week having to work it out again, you can just do all 5 in one go, next part, all 5 in one go. So that's what Steve's doing now, trying to work as efficiently as we can. Yeah, getting there. Full site banks in here now, so we've had a difficulty with some material. So some of the material that we need didn't come in time. We needed it and it hasn't come in yet. So it should be in tomorrow. As soon as that's in, we can get Colin to cut it, and then Steve and Connor can fold it. So site bank 3, sorry, is all the way up to where it can be without that next bit of material here. So as soon as that comes in, we'll carry on with that one and this one, because both of these are at similar stage now. Steve's working up to this one to get it up to that stage. So yeah, wait for that material come in, we'll get a bit more work. This is one of the other doors for the site bank. So Steve is currently putting the rebar mesh in there. So when we fill it with concrete, it just stays stronger. So yeah, not much left on the fabrication list, to be honest, by the looks of it. So Steve is working through this. Again, material should be arriving today, the new stuff that we need. And then Colin can get on cutting, Steve and Connor can fold it, and Steve can fabricate it. Adam's asked for a summary for these, so Adam's getting a summary. We've got the site banks in here. I don't know why I'm playing with this, but I am. Locking mechanism, which we can't show you. Bit tempting, but we can't. Steve, again, has had another good week this week. We've got most of the panel work on most of them now, so I believe all 4 of them are in here, so we've got a 5th one in the other storeroom. So most of them are near enough there now. There's the locking mechanism to just tweak a little bit, because all of these are slightly individual. a slight fold out somewhere and a slight plate being slightly out somewhere else. They all have that slight little deviation. So Steve's having to make it all work. These are the first ones, so we're going to get on, make as many jigs as we can, come up with as many improvements as we can for next time. D&J Shredder, Connor is working on it now, so we'll be finishing off the conveyor part today. Need to wait a little bit for the top hopper bit for Gav to just give us our approval for how we're going to do it, size-wise and whatnot. So, bottom conveyor bit we've done today, we'll have everything fabricated-wise at least. All of these side skirts bolted up, the clamping strips ready for the rubber, the bottom hopper bit all welded up and ready for the rubber as well. So, we'll get some more clips of that towards the end of the day of this all done.
So back on the shredder, I see I started with the shaft. I think, as you saw before, I had gouge marks all around here and down your sides. So I welded them up, grind them back, get the diameter lovely and even, nice and square and everything. That wasn't too bad in fairness. And then if I follow you around here. So this is finally the hopper finished. All it needs to do is welded, which I'll do now. At the minute it's tacked together, but nothing will change once it's welded. It's all nice and secure. I've folded your clamping strips, contoured them to the folds on the plate so it's a nice tight fit and fit the rubber underneath. This side on your right is bolted in, so if there's ever an issue or a blockage, they can whip that out or anything they need to fix. Instead, yeah, the back and your left are welded in, so they're a nice solid unit. And yeah, that's about everything you need to know on the inside. And then this is the conveyor, as you saw in, which is now out. I have made the clamping strips flat with a nice little fold down, just hold the rubber nice and tight on either side. This one's already on. These are a bit different because these are tapped in, which we don't normally do, but for this instance, it works better because it's quite thick material. Yeah. So this is the final part of the assembly really for the hopper. Get all the parts painted, put together, just a nice finishing touch for the customer and ready to go back in the shredder.
You've seen some clips of this. It's been painted and then it's now been assembled. Oh, the conveyor part of it has, sorry. So the conveyor is now on. Greedy boards and side skirts are on. So all that's left, fabrication-wise, is sorting out the hopper and then attaching the flywheel and the conveyor motor again.
Now you might recognise this machine. In a previous episode we replaced this apron feeder. If you remember, we had all the chain out and replaced these slats, put new chains in. So we're back on this job now and there is a blade in here which I'll show you in a minute that we've actually cut out. I forgot to film, it's my fault, so I'm going to get you up to date now and show you what we're doing. I'm also filming on my phone because I forgot to pick the DJI up this morning, or the GoPro. So Adam's going to tell me off for that, I'm sure. But what we're doing is there's a blade that sits on here and comes up and doesn't quite touch this. Now this here rotates. Material down there gets fed this way on here and then gets fed into the shredder, which is this. This has got some swinging hammers. These, which when it's running up to, when this runs up to speed, they fly out. And that's what shreds the material. Now this is shredding UPVC. and as the material comes back round, if it's down to size, goes through these grids, but material can get carried back around and re-shredded a second time. Now the blade sits on here, and this solid square bar here, we thought when we got here this morning we were actually replacing that. Now that's a solid square bar, it's 100 by 100 mil solid square bar, and the end of it is just about make it in there, and then the rest of it is behind this tin guard, because we thought we were going to have to cut this out to get access to it. But the customer said, no, we just want you to replace the blade. Now it's quite badly worn, and we're probably going to have to build up, because it's getting welded in some slots, which I'll show you in a second on the blade. So we might have to build this up with weld just so we can fit it onto it. It's not really ideal, but this is what the customer wants. This is the blade itself. So you position it on, and this edge here goes up against the apron, and then you weld in these slots here. It's one of the same at the other end. You weld them up, and you weld that onto that solid square bar. And then once we've done that, we'll hard face across the top. It's me and Dan on this job. Dan's here ready to go with the grinder. He's going to clean all that up. I'm going to try and get the welder up here so we can put that blade in and then hard face it. And then once we've done that, these blocks here, I'm going to put some hard facing on them. Now that rotor is worn, believe it or not. There's some bars that run through here that hold the hammers, and they've got some slight play in the holes in here. You can't really see it in there, and it is vibrating, it is running out of balance. So there's a new rotor going in the next shutdown, which is in August. So we'll be back up here in August to do the shutdown then. But the job today is to get that blade in. We think that's going to take us today and tomorrow, as well as doing these. And then tomorrow morning we're going to do an inspection of the rest of the machine. They've booked us for 4 days, but at the minute there's only 2 days work. So depending on what we find on the inspection tomorrow, depends on what else gets done this week. So Dan's going to clean that up. I'm going to go and prepare the welder, and we'll crack on. So Dan's been busy with the grinder, cleaned it all up, and we're just doing a test fit of this blade. If you remember, I was saying about these slots here, wondering if that worn bar was going to be a problem. We're going to have to weld it up, but looking at it, I think we're going to be okay. It does just about fall away at the edge of the slot, but I think it's close enough that we can actually weld it. So what we're going to do now is, because the old one had worn, now the old one's down here in bits, this here, that's how much is worn off the old one. So that's why we're changing it. So what we're going to do, just put that down. What we're going to do is take this out now and hard face this edge all the way along from one end to the other. Put a run of hard facing along there. It won't last forever, but it'll prolong this being worn. I actually think this isn't the best of designs, to be honest. The fact that it's welded in here, and all that material that gets thrown across the top comes down against these, what we call anvils here, and then the swinging hammers go between these and smash the material up, and then the material gets brought back round underneath. And if it's small enough, it'll fall through the grids. If it's still oversized, it keeps bringing it up here. So every time that oversized comes up, it's running against this leading edge here. And the fact that you can't replace that, unless you get in here and start literally cutting it out, I don't think that's the best idea, to be honest. We actually replaced the bottom section here, all of this here, so below the rotor, we actually replaced that 2 years ago. I don't even think it's quite 2 years ago. And that was brand new, and we hard face that then. So if you're in here every 2 years having to cut that out, I think that should be a bolting component. But this is going back to how it was originally, so we're going to weld that in there, hard face across the top of it, and that's what the customers asked for. So sometimes you have to be a little bit creative on site when you haven't got a bench, so I need to hard face this edge here, so we've just clamped it to a post so it's at a nice height. So I'm going to put the hard facing wire in the welder now, change the spools and the tip, and get that welded up along a couple of runs along there. Should do the trick, and then we can put that blade back in the machine, which is, you can't see it, but it's above there anyway. So crack on and get this done. So that's the hard facing done. Not as good as the lads in the workshop. I am massively out of practice when it comes to welding. That's probably the first bit of welding I've done in at least 12 months. But it's good enough for what this needs to be.
This is the open mesh flooring for the Max Z walkway. So Colin is cutting this to size. So on our drawings, we've got the size of the walkway platforms themselves. So we're using that to decide where we want to cut this. So we're cutting it. This comes in metre wide sections. So that's about right for what we need. And then Cole's cutting it. We're going to use full length and a bit more on some of them. And then some of them are only half length. Some of them are near enough to full length. So yeah, we'll get a few of these cut today. And then hopefully when we get the walkways assembled or welded, fabricated, we can get them test fitted in there, make sure they're all good. These are all the walkways that you've seen Colin cutting. So everything is all cut and labelled up, which Adam's going to show you in a second. So we've got walkway A, B, C, D, D part 1, D part 2, walkway WA, WB, so on and so forth. So we've got all of this cut, ready for the fabricators to put in the frames just to test fit everything. So yeah. Seeing as Rob is on holiday at the minute, he's in Scotland, hopefully enjoying himself, Connor will be carrying on from where he got with the Manchester project. So the cross beams are sort of, they've been prepped. The end plates, I believe, have also been prepped. So we'll get them welded on, red oxide paint over the top, and then there's a few more to this. There's 4 more on the stillage ready to be prepped and then welded as well after these. And then there's a load of other little cross beams that similar process, but they're a lot smaller. So we'll see some more of that today.
So these are small beams made for the Manchester product. Pretty simple, just straight with 2 45-degree cuts with a plate, one on the end, 2 holes, so they all bolt together. These are fully welded because they're obviously structural, so they're the most support they can get. I have completed these 5, and someone else completed the other 5, and these are the final 4 we're making now. Pretty simple setup, just bevel the ends, take the paint off, put the plate on, tack it, make sure you're all square, happy, and weld it. This is not really too strenuous of a job, just a bit time consuming. Yeah, about a few more hours on this, and then on to the next beams. So these are the next set of beams I talked about earlier. We're going to make 26 of these, so a fair bit more, but these are a fair bit shorter, and only a plate on one side and also on the flat. These are also the same earlier. Just gouge out all the sides, weld all around so they're fully welded, nice and secure. These are my done pile. These over here are my to-do pile. I've already started to gouge out some of them, as you can see. just a simple V on all sides, while the inside gets welded in a T-fillet. Yeah, we'll get these out. Should take me a few hours on these because there is a fair amount even. Yeah, get cracking.
All of the cross beams are now fabricated. Connor's got that done today. He's currently on the corner gusset support, so big folded plate, big gusset in the middle. He's currently fabricating that, so he'll be on that Monday and all. So yeah, quite a successful week. Rob hasn't been here, I think I said that earlier in the video. So a bit slower on this project as we've got other people on other projects. Next week we're hitting it full force, so you'll see myself, Connor and Rob all fabricating parts of the walkways for this, so stay tuned to see that.
We have been interviewing for engineering operatives, or we've called it workshop operatives actually, on the Indeed website. So we've had quite a lot of people apply, to the point where I paused the applications on Indeed because we had a lot. We do an initial sift, which I do based on set criteria, and I score the applicants. And then I sat down with Jamie and Archie, who are obviously the team leaders, and asked them to not concentrate on my scores, but to just give their view of the CVs based on what they know the job is. They came back with their top 5 candidates, top 6 candidates I think it was, and we've invited them in for interview. We've seen 2 of those and so far, and both of those we've invited back for a trial day. So what we do at Spitfire, where the job allows us to, so not every role, but we do a try before you buy. Some people think it's a bit interesting, but in the workshop it helps. So we ask somebody to take a day from their current employment or day with us, whichever way. We pay them and they do a full shift with us. They get to meet us, see if they like us, see if they like the work, and we get to meet them. They're obviously on their best behaviour, and so are we, but it's a good indication if the scale of what we make is something that they're going to be capable of getting their head around, because what we do, you'll know from watching the channel, is not the same as everybody else necessarily. We're not a small production run company, so we don't sit there at a bench welding a bit, moving it on, welding a bit. We get people really involved. So yeah, we've got 2 people coming in for trial days next week. I've got 3 more people to interview, and we're likely to invite them in as well. I've suggested a Hunger Games style selection process, but nobody else wants to do that. So it will just be who's the right people for the jobs, because if none of these 5 are the right people, we won't take them. We're not going down that route, and we will go again and search again. But I've got a good feeling. I've got a really good feeling that we've seen some good candidates. So we'll let you know, fingers crossed.
Currently stood where I couldn't be stood a couple of days ago because this machine was in the way. Since the tyre shredder has gone, we've managed to move the bale wrapper back, which means we've opened up a lot of yard space, all hard standing, which is great for us. Annoyingly, it's getting warmer, so a lot of the sort of soft standing material is getting better for us to drive on with the forklifts, but material is material, ground is ground, so we can now use all of this more efficiently. We can have finished machines here, we can have prefabricated parts here, so yeah, more space.
So I finished welding this slot up. As you know, we did that one yesterday. Also, a couple of welds down here. So what I'm going to do now is mark this up with chalk and a crosshatch pattern and start laying the hard facing in. Now, if anybody doesn't know what hard facing is, this is hard facing on here. This has been done previously. And basically what you're looking at doing is you're looking at putting a secondary sort of coating on top of the parent metal, which is a sacrificial metal that is designed to wear off. And the reason that you do zigzag patterns is because you want the product to skim across the surface of these hard facing welds, because you don't want this to wear. So the material comes on and it just skids across the top, so that this will eventually get worn down, and then you build it up again. So basically you're preserving the parent metal, and you can see it's all It's all done across here. Now, if you've watched a previous video, you'll know that we've done that previously. So that just gives you some idea. If you're a regular viewer, you'll see how Rob did this last time, I think about 6 months ago. And you can see how that has now worn compared to what it was 6 months ago. This hood was actually brand new 2 years ago. I think we put this in 2 years ago. And it looked absolutely mint. And then you can see the wear in there now. But this machine does run 24/7 when it's running. So there's a lot of material gone past that over the last couple of years. So yeah, we'll get that blade hard faced. And as you know, we're hard facing these as well, because as I say, that rotor's been changed in August. So catch you in a bit. So just marking out where we're going to put the hard facing with the chalk. Because the flow of the material is coming this way, you want your hard facing at sort of 45 degrees to the flow of material. If we welded straight up in runs, then the material would wear the metal between the hard facing. If we come along this way, you would find the material would probably tumble between and scallop the parent material like that. So the trade-off is 45 degrees. So we'll go that way, and then we'll go that way with it to give it like a diamond pattern. So the idea is that the material skids across the peaks of the hard facing, and eventually it'll wear that away, but it just prolongs the parent metal, this blade, from wearing too much. As you know, we've already put hard facing on that edge there, and we'll probably put a run along the top coming this way as well, because that front edge is where most of the wear is. So we'll try and protect that as much as possible, and then do the cross hatchings like the diamond pattern at the back. So hard facing is done, not to Rob's usual standards, if I'm honest. As I say, not been welding for any more than 12 months. So they say it's a bit like riding a bike, but considering I've not rode a bike for years, I couldn't comment on that, to be honest. But we've also hard faced these blocks. As I say, this rotor is going in August for a new one, so this is just to keep it going till August. But we did notice a crack along there. You see where we've put a bit of weld in there, a crack had appeared along there. So we've welded that up as well. But this, to take this rotor out in August, this hood here has got to come back off, because you can't get the crane above this rotor because you can't really see it from there. But basically this is closer to me than that, so this hood's got to come off. So when that comes off, we'll stand it up, re-hard face all in there, and do all under there as well when it's off. So we're going to get packed up now, run this bed that I'm standing on, the feed apron, just to make sure we've got good clearance, because it does get a bit tight at the ends. Run that up, and as long as that's all right, we'll call it a day. So that's that job completed. Nice early finish for once. What is it? 2:30 in the afternoon. Head back to the hotel. Dan's going to get wrapped up in the hotel and head back to the yard. I'm staying overnight because I've got to see a customer in the morning that's interested in a trommel at D&J Projects. So they're in the morning, but I've got a problem with my car, so I'll discuss that in a minute. So Land Rover's finest, 18 months old, 32,500 miles, I think. Driving up to this job yesterday. Problems on the dash. Let's see what the dash tells us today. What's it saying? There you go. Exhaust filter is full, is what it's saying. and engine management lights on. So what I've got to do now, I've got to ring Land Rover Assist, and they've got to come out and see if they can diagnose it. If it's undrivable. I drove it back here from site yesterday. It run like a bag of spanners, and it wouldn't go above 50. So got to ring Land Rover Assist now. If I say it's undrivable, which it is, then they'll recover it and give me another vehicle. But they might not be able to look at it until the end of April. So this could be interesting. So that's the AA leaving. This thing has got to go into the dealership. Can't fix it on the side of the road. They offered recovery, but it's in restricted performance driving mode type thing. So I've got a meeting in the morning. I'm going to go to that and then nurse it to Melton Mowbray. And I'm now waiting on a phone call for telling me about a hire car that I need to have in replacement to this. So that's the car dropped off at the dealership over at Melton Mowbray. And that's the courtesy car until they can fix this. So let's see if they can do it a bit quicker than the end of April.
Another little job we've got in the workshop. So this is a bit of pipe work for a scrapyard down in London. We do a lot of work for them. I think they've got 5 or 6 of our machines. So they've got a range of trommels, vibrating sorters, vibrating feeders. And then we also do a monthly inspection there. So that's part of the services we carry out. So we do a monthly inspection, and this is part of what Jamie flagged up. So there's a bit of wear on these pipes. So the material that goes through, I believe, is copper. So over time, that does wear down on the corners of the pipe work. So we're getting a replacement bit of pipe work sent over to them. So that's my job for today. I'll fabricate it up. I've got the drawings here, so I'll work to these drawings. Yeah, hopefully see a bit more of this today. These are the pipe bits, or the bits of pipe for the scrapyard pipe work. So George, very kindly, the CAD designer, he did me a great template for this saddle here. So all I had to do was wrap this piece of paper round a piece of pipe as so. And then all I had to do is, other than that, is grind these little ears off the top here. But other than that, it was fitted up perfectly. So that alone has saved us hours, I would say. So great work on efficiency there. We've got the marking of this based off of the chalk line of this. So that is perfect. Got the measurements from there and there just to verify it's in the right position. I've got the angle at 61 degrees, which I've checked. That works out fine, just holding up. So I'm going to tack it up in a second, make sure I'm happy with it, make sure it's all lining up correctly, weld this completely. And then we're going to get the flanges, because we've got a flange on this face, that face, and the bottom face of this, essentially. So yeah.
Hi, well, we're a little bit out of my comfort zone today, but I'm here with some exciting new equipment. Gav has purchased us a 3D printer. Now for me, now we're talking. But what we're going to do today, we're going to start printing a 3D mini screen. So it will technically be a mini screen. We're going to do the frame first this morning and see what happens. Who knows? Hopefully it works. So we've got the new software that the 3D printer comes with. And what I've done, I've broke down every individual part that it will happily 3D print so that we can print them all out and glue it together and see what happens. But we're going to do the frame first this morning. And hopefully we have a successful print. It claims it's going to work, no aggro, so press print, send to printer, and now let it do its magic. Who knows? It went all right. We've got a few imperfections in places, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, you know. First, as the first 3D print goes, you know, we've got a little bits of scuff in places, but it's a new machine. I don't know how to use it. Just playing with it. However, here's one I made earlier. Let me just stick that on there. We now have a mini screen. I'm very impressed.
E21 is currently being run up. It's been running for about an hour or two. Myself and Jamie have put the meshes on top, so we've got a 35 and a 15, I believe, for a customer coming in today. They are after a bigger machine, but for proof of concept, this one will work absolutely fine. So they're after a 312, which is the next machine size up from this. We don't keep them in stock. They're a bit bigger, a bit more awkward to store. So we make them bespoke for customers individually. So he's after one of them. So we'll show him this, and hopefully he'll place an order.
So he's really impressed with the sound, that it's quite quiet, very quiet. He has looked at other machines, but is certainly saying very positive things about this one. So what we would do is build the MIDI version of this. So this is 2 meters by 1, and what he's looking at is a 3 meters by 1200 with an in-feed hopper separate and a very extended chevron belt conveyor to take the oversize away. So yeah, quite a big setup. I'm next going to put him in touch with some other customers who are also screening wood chip. So that's the next steps. And then also I've offered him to hire one of the ones with the conveyor so that he can test the mesh size that he would like. So it's not the size screen that he wants, but it is the mesh size. Sorry, it's the mesh doing the same thing. So yeah, there's lots of options, really positive. Really nice people, and they're only in Market Harborough, which is about half an hour away from us, so local, which is great.
Colin and Dan are assembling two more of the 21Cs. So the conveyor motors are going on there now. Sean's in today. I believe he's doing a bit more wiring up on one of them at least. So the customers that were in earlier in the week, that you may have seen already, they are going to be having one of these as a hire, I believe. So they're going to be testing the meshes. Due to the fact that we don't stock meshes for the 312, which is the machine they're really after, they're going to try the meshes on this 21C, work out what they want, what works best for their material, and then in the meantime, until their 312 arrives, they'll have the 21C. Works well for everyone, and we get another machine out.
Okay, so this week's fun fact, I think, is a wind-up, and I think Adam is winding me up. I'm going to read what Adam has sent me as a fun fact, because Adam finds the fun facts. Now this week, it's not about planes or trains. This one's a bit different. This is about the world's smallest engine that was built in Britain. Apparently, in 2011, scientists at Oxford University created the world's smallest working engine, measuring just a few billionths of a metre across, smaller than a human blood cell. Who says billionths of a metre? Anyway, key points. It was a nano engine made from charged particles, ions, in a laser trap. It worked by storing and releasing energy like a spring, using heat to expand and contract. Despite its size, it could generate relative force relative to its tiny scale, proving useful for future nanotechnology applications. This breakthrough could one day power microscopic robots for medical treatment inside the human body. This is a wind-up, isn't it? Have you made this up?
Often that's really interesting.
This is like the Emperor's new clothes, isn't it? Somebody's given somebody millions of money to develop something. They've burnt the money, gone down the pub with it, and they've come up with this thing on a Petri dish and said, honestly, it's like a small engine type thing. It is honestly there.
I take you don't like my fact this week, yeah.
I think if it's true, it's a great fact. But I'm just a little bit suspicious of this one, I'm afraid. So if any viewers know that this is actually true and genuine, can you put something in the comments just to back up Adam's story, shall we say?
E-cog is currently being worked on in the yard, so Colin and Dan are on it now. They are currently flattening out and straightening some of the panels that have been bent. This job is going to be broken down into three parts. There's the structural, there's the cosmetic, and then there's the conveyor conversion. So there's the structural and cosmetic that is going to be divided up between the customer and their customer, because this is out on hire. So all of our jobs, we have to separate them down and log our hours differently, so each customer can be charged accordingly. And then the conveyor conversion, that again is another job that we're going to be doing. So this conveyor behind me is going to be placed on the other side of the machine. It's not as simple as nut and bolt, so we're going to have to undo it nut and bolt, but then fabricate some new brackets on the other side to make it work. The lads have had a cracking day on it today, so Dan and Colin have absolutely smashed it. The time estimates that we've given them, they have surpassed, say, as far as me and Jamie have worked out. So lots of the conveyor panels have been straightened, the conveyors have been straightened. Some of the under panels still need straightening, but we've still got some hours left of today, so they'll be on that, and then they'll be on it first thing Monday morning as well, trying to get it done, ready for us to convert the conveyors.
So, questions and answers session. Adam, what have we got this week?
So I appreciate that some of these may have already been replied to in the comments, but I've got one here anyway. It's good to cover them. The first one's from Kevin Bohr, and he asked the question, when you look at buying new equipment, especially the more expensive ones, do you look at how long it takes to get a payback, or do you buy regardless on the pay to company?
Honest answer to that question is no, we don't look at the payback period, because some of our equipment we plan to keep a little while. The only exception to that is possibly the CNC plasma cutter. The last one lasted 6 years, and I intend to keep this one for 5 years. This one's got a 5-year warranty on it, as long as we pay to have it maintained every year, which is another subject. Then it's got a 5-year warranty, so the plan is we will keep it for 5 years and then we will move it on. And it has a degree of residual value at the end of 5 years. We're currently looking at buying a bigger forklift, and that will be something that will last us, I don't know, 20 plus years maybe. The amount of use that we'll give it, it'll last 20 plus years. So when you actually look at it on a year by year basis, that the actual cost of ownership isn't that big a deal, to be honest. But when you look around the workshop, there's certain things, I've said it for years, there's 3 things we could not run without here. One's the CAD software, one's a CNC plasma, one's a CNC brake press. You get rid of one of them, we cannot function as a business. So how do you put a value on that? And also, because the way that we cost the jobs, we put any capital investment like that outside of any other costs. That capital investment comes out of the profit. So when we make a profit, we will spend it on equipment that we need. A percentage of the profit gets reinvested in the business. So I'm not sure that's probably answered the question you want. The answer is we don't actually work it out, to be honest, in that. If we need something, then we have it. If it's a lot of money, then obviously it's a more considered purchase. But the sort of stuff that we buy, I wouldn't have said is a large enough investment that it needs a lot of careful consideration. If we want something, we generally buy it.
Okay, Cider Ant says, I am curious to know if you have thought about how you get into the sight vault if the lock mechanism fails.
On the sight bank, you mean?
Yeah, in reference to the sight banks, yeah.
We have thought about it, and we've thought about it, and it won't be a problem. If somebody lost their keys and there was a problem getting into it, we have thought about it. Personally, I don't want to discuss it too much, because obviously that's a little bit of a secret of how we would get around that issue. But safe to be said that we would be able to, we have got a solution for it.
Right, we actually have another one from Cider Ant, who I'm going to read it as a bit of a jokey question, but he says, how long before Dave gets his shredder back? Or are you purposely slowing it down so you visit him more, Gav?
Somebody actually commented the other day that we were the D&J sister channel. I think it's the other way around, actually, in fairness. I think, you know, Dave's getting advice on YouTube from me, and his numbers are doing really well at the minute, so I think it's probably the other way around, in fairness. I know Dave watches every week, so I know that's probably going to make him laugh. Dave's, by the time you see this, because obviously we're filming behind, Dave's shredder, I've actually got a missed call off of Dave this afternoon, I need to ring him back. Yeah, by the time you see this, I would imagine it'll be pretty much on his way back to him. We're waiting on the big pulley to come back. That's been on a relatively long lead time, but I think that's fairly imminent coming back to us. And the lads are just finishing off the hopper at the top, and then I think they're about there, to be honest. So yeah, soon.
Okay, now I believe that you did reply to this comment at Dave _the trucker.
Yes, just turn my phone off.
He says, wouldn't it have been cheaper to do the repair on the E21 sorter machine on site rather than going up to pick it up, take him back to HQ for repairs and then take it back?
Yes, it would have been, is the honest answer. But number of factors. I wanted us to have the machine back in the workshop to see the extent of what had gone wrong. And we were short on capacity in the workshop. It took Rob hour and a half to sort out, where if he had gone to site, found it, sorted it all out, come back, he'd have been gone for the best part of the day, and he was pretty busy doing the job, the Manchester project job. So it was, I can do my job from the car, make phone calls and speak to people and that sort of thing, and it's also nice to get out of the office at times. So yes, it probably would have been cheaper to have sent somebody up there and that, but actually just operationally, it just worked out easy for me to go.
Kevin Bohr next with another comment. Question, Gavin, are all your fabricated employees got the same skills?
No. No, we've got some fabricators that would probably prefer the big heavy welding. We've got some fabricators that probably prefer the lighter stuff with the TIG. Connor loves a bit of TIG welding. We've got Rob that probably prefers small production runs so he can get his head around it and get it set up. And then we've also got all the engineering operatives that sort of support the fabricators, doing the painting, the assembly, the cutting, the machining, all that sort of stuff. So it's a mixture of skills, and also jobs come in and you go, well, that's a job for Rob, or that's a job for Steve, or Connor's the man for that job. And sometimes people have got their own unique skills, and we try and tailor the work that we give them depending on their own unique skills.
Now, the next question, I just want to personally say thank you for the comment regarding the videography. This one asked a few... Just my opinion, 9-9. There's a few questions in one here. He says, what are your QA procedures and how do lessons learned get fed back into your procedures? Also says, what is the history of the staff? How did they get here and what are their training and work experiences? So you can sort of just sum that up, can't you?
Yeah, our QC procedures are, we do a QC procedure at the end of cutting, at the end of fabrication, at the end of painting, and also at the end of final assembly. And what we do is, if we're doing a job, say for instance mini screens, that's a fairly well practiced process now. We've made enough of them now that everybody knows the sort of situation, and that's pretty much done now. You get a bigger project, or like for instance the Trident's a classic example, because we know we're going to make more of them in the future, but it's the first one we've done. So what we'll do is the lads in the workshop, they will note down any changes that they would make, any problems they've had fabricating it, making it, painting it, whatever it is, or anything they can think of that would improve the process or actually improve the machine. Then at the end of it, what we do is Melissa does a financial analysis of it, so she works out the time aspect of it, the cost aspect of it. Did we spend what we thought we would spend on material? Did we take as much time as we thought we would? If we went over, where has it gone over? So for instance, we might find that we were okay on cutting and fabricating, but we might find that the assembly took a lot longer than we expected, and then we'll delve into that to see, why it took longer to assemble than we expected. And then the lads will come in and they'll say, right, if we're doing this again, can we do that in 2 parts? Can we put a radius on here? Can we change that? Can we do things differently? And then that at the end helps us improve the product. It's not about giving anybody a kick in for getting it wrong. It's about, can we learn from it and move forward and make a better product in the future? So we generally tend to do that on some of the bigger projects, or especially if it's a project that we know that we're going to do a lot more in future. To summarise our staff and where they've come from, obviously I'm not going to go into detail because of, it's all personal sort of stuff for our staff, and it wouldn't be fair to sort of start discussing individual people, but we've got people here from different backgrounds. We've got people that have worked in a similar environment, we've got people that have never done this before, we've got people from a machining background, and we've got people from a mechanical background. So we have got quite a diverse background of people that all come to work here. And that's just in the workshop. We've got people in the office that have never worked in a business like this, and it's a bit of a running joke at the minute. And I look across the room at the people that are in the office at the minute, and actually I don't think anybody here could work anywhere else, because we are a little bit unique here at Spitfire. And I think I have truly ruined everybody in the office. They could not work anywhere else after working at Spitfire, because the way that we go about things and the culture and the environment that we have here is a lot different to anybody else's.
And this brings me on to my last question, which is by Paul M, aka 4C21. Are there no engineering apprenticeships / colleges in your area? I think that's a bit of an easy one.
This one I answered. This one I did answer. We've got a special coming up in the next few weeks. Me and Adam are going to our local college that our apprentices go to, and we're doing a special episode based entirely around apprenticeships, engineering apprenticeships and all sorts of apprenticeships that they do at college. And we're going to go and interview the principal at the college and all the people at the college, and they can tell us all about it. We're doing it in partnership with the college, and the college will be using it as their own our channel episode as their own promotional video for promoting apprenticeships at college. Really looking forward to that one, and that will be coming up in the next few weeks. Where are we? We're going to that in a couple of weeks. Is it next week?
Next week.
So yeah, don't know when that's coming out, but it will be coming out soon.
Thank you all for watching this week's video. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. If you could please like and subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be greatly appreciated. Keep commenting. We love seeing the comments. Every week we will have a look through in the workshop canteen as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Angela. Oh, we'll have to wait a minute, Adam.
So you just told him I'm busy, right?
Okay.
Cool. Whenever you're ready, boss.
Oh, hang on, I'm fiddling. You can use this in the outtakes.
Okay.
Go on then, you tell me when. Never call me off if you're on camera again.
I'm in Gav's seat today. Well, yeah, not today. Just today. No, not today. I'll start again. Keep recording. Bow! You can't put that in there. Another little job. How's my hair? Actually, alright.
Perfect.
Scrappy hard job. Alright. Welcome to episode 43. Gary's not here today, so I'm in charge today. What are we laughing at?
He's there under his blanket.
Show him on the blanket.